Real-world themes and imagery are common in GD, whether it be inspired names for levels or themes for different maps. This is demonstrated by things like Back on Mountain, the first terrain-themed basic GD level. However, some levels pull far more rigorously from real-life themes than others, and some draw inspiration from folklore, urban legends, and religious imagery. Of course, there are some levels whose names are simply there for theatrical reasons, such as Bloodbath, Cataclysm, and Infernal Abyss, but there are some levels whose names and themes have a far more real-life context behind them than you might think. So today, we're going to be looking at 5 levels whose names and themes have far more interesting context and backstories than just the skin-deep standard map names. Zafkiel is an angel. Zafkiel is a pretty controversial level right now, which is a top 10 extreme demon. It is controversial for its verifier, Noctafly, who recently confessed to hacking it. But that's beside the point. Zafkiel is one of many rated GD levels that gets its name from the song of the level, namely Zafkiel by Kolkian, an electro house song that is actually one of my favourite songs in GD. But the word Zafkiel itself actually has religious context. Zafkiel, in Christianity, is one of the 9 angels that rule heaven, and is also one of the 7 archangels. His name in Hebrew means God's knowledge. On top of his high roles in heaven, Zafkiel is also the chief of the Order of Thrones, a group of high celestial beings at the service of Jesus Christ. They are also the carriers of God's throne, hence the name of the order. Zafkiel is also associated with the planet of Saturn, and is said to watch over people when they need to make important decisions and say important things. It is said that Zafkiel will aid someone in finding the words to say in an important message. Zafkiel appears throughout science fiction. His name appears in Dungeons and Dragons, and is one of the main characters in the game Star Ocean's Second Evolution. I doubt Noctafly and Darwin knew all of this when creating the level that Temporum says should now go above Yetagarasu, but this religious context behind the name of the Electro House song by Kolkian is pretty interesting if you think about it. 9 Circles is a 14th century poem reference about hell. 9 Circles is one of the most popular series in Geometry Dash history, starting with the most liked demon from the era commencing in 1.9 and creating a chain of replication levels all the way up to the current number 1 demon, Sonic Wave. 9 Circles is another level that got its name from the song 9 Circles by Nightkiller. The name 9 Circles, however, has quite an interesting story. Divine Comedy is a 14th century epic poem by Dante Alighieri. An epic poem is basically a long-winded narrative poem about serious issues. The first part of this poem is named Inferno, and it tells the story of Dante's journey through hell, guided by an ancient Roman poet named Virgil. In this section of the poem, hell is depicted as 9 individual circles with specific themes. The 9 circles are similar to the principle of the 7 deadly sins, although the poem describes the circles as actual sections of hell differentiated under specific categories. The 9 categories are limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. There is some crossover with the general values that Christianity holds as negative. There's not much more to it than that. The song of the level is simply named after the narrative of hell. However, what I find interesting is that the series of levels like 9 Circles became known as the 9 Circles series, and then the Circles series for short. Now, we use the term so loosely that the word circles in this game's community is associated with Neon Wave demons, when in reality the word circles is technically being used by the original song to describe hell. When you say Circles series, you are technically saying Hell series, and we already know a series of levels under that name. Phobos and Deimos are moons of Mars. Phobos was a Geometry Dash Gamers Like Us mega collab created in 2015 that was legitimately re-verified in 2016 by CrazyMan50 to be the second hardest demon in the game at the time. The name Phobos comes from one of the 2 moons of Mars, the planet closest to Earth. The moon, and its brother moon Deimos, were discovered by Asaph Hal in August 1887. They are the only 2 moons Mars has and were named after characters in Greek mythology, Phobos meaning fear and panic, and Deimos meaning terror and dread. In Greek mythology, Phobos and Deimos are accompanied by their father Ares, the god of war, into battle. Ares was known as Mars by the Romans, so while the planet itself is known in the present day by its Roman name, its 2 moons are known by their Greek name. Of course, like with the last 2 levels, Phobos was called as such following the name of the song it uses, Phobos by Soulcraig, a dubstep track on Newgrounds. However, the buffed and redecorated rebirth of the original unnerfed version, which uses the same song and is currently being verified by Scallo, is named Deimos, quite fittingly. In my opinion, Deimos would have worked better as a sequel rather than a rebirth, but I guess Deimos is becoming its own level enough to act as a sequel anyway. I'm not saying anything, but wouldn't it be cool if, once these two levels are out, to see a third chapter, a final chapter which was an original level with new gameplay and a new song, named Arrows? How cool would that be, after knowing the scientific context behind the two levels? I hope someone in the Demos or Phobos collab hears this and decides to make a final chapter sequel named Arrows. Killbot is an urban legend. Killbot is one of the most extreme memory demons ever created, and after recently being verified by Boldstep, it has been placed just outside the top 10 on the demons list. Many people already know this, thanks to the level's description, but the definition of the Killbot virus that Lithofusion was referencing is a creepy story on Reddit. According to the thread, Killbot is a virus that installs itself onto any device that flashes up messages that drives the user insane. Consequences of the insanity involve self-harm and eventually suicide. This is a very tall tale, and while Killbot is an actual virus, I'm pretty sure this story was way over-exaggerated. According to the thread, when you switch off your PC, Killbot destroys all the antivirus firewalls to stop you from removing it. Again, this is all a huge story on Reddit, and the thread goes on for ages. However, according to Panda Security, Killbot.A is a real virus threat. It spreads from one PC to affect others, and is said to capture certain information that relates to privacy, e.g. safe passwords on Windows and networks. It spreads by attacking IP addresses it randomly acquires or sources from a network. The virus is said to be about 83,000 bytes in size, so in reality it is a real thing, but nowhere near as terrifying as the stories on Reddit would have you believe. Like every level so far, Killbot was named after the song it uses. The song Killbot by Devin Martin has over 1.5 million hits on YouTube, and is a pretty popular electro dubstep track, even though it is much slower in pace than the version on Newgrounds. As opposed to religious or fictional imagery, Killbot is a level that traces its themes from urban legends. Niflheim relates to the afterlife. Niflheim is an extreme demon by Vicesmith that was verified by Koreakware about 9 months ago. The level received a few pretty good reviews. While not as challenging as some of the other extreme demons on the list, it used a great style and theme similar to the one used in Lonely Travel by Funny Game. Unlike all the other levels on the list so far, Niflheim doesn't actually get its name from its song. Instead, Niflheim is a word from Norse mythology. It is one of the 9 worlds and means mist home, and is said to be the world of darkness when translated into English. As well as being a world of darkness, it is also said to be a realm of ice and cold, which would explain some of the decoration choices in the level. Among the 9 worlds in Norse mythology, there is also Muspelheim, which is the realm of fire. This idea was applied to a layout by a channel named Ferox, who got 57,000 views from a layout with said name that was planned to be a sequel to Niflheim. Novelist is a pseudonym. Novelist is a particularly hard duel level by Grillex, which remains in the top 50 today. Like Niflheim, it is an extreme demon that does not get its name from its song. Instead, Novelist actually has literary context. Novelist was the pseudonym and pen name of George Philipp Friedrich Führer von Hardenberg. Quite a mouthful to say, huh? Living for a short period from 1772 to 1801, Hardenberg was a German writer, poet, philosopher, civil engineer and mineralogist. He had almost as many occupations as he did words in his name. Given his name was so long and I suppose unmarketable for his writing too, he wrote under the pseudonym Novelist. Whether Grillex knew this when choosing the name, I don't know. Valor and Mystic are Pokemon teams. Valor and Mystic are 2 mega collabs organised by Mega Man 9. Valor was an insane demon featuring only American creators and was verified by Crazy Man 50. Mystic, on the other hand, broke the rules for its own project when it featured non-American creators, and the level, which currently sits at 14th on the Demons list, is one of the most hated levels of 2.1. Both of these levels are named after Pokemon teams. There are 3 main Pokemon teams, with the other being called Instinct. Valor took around a year to be built and verified, but as soon as it was done, Mystic was started and verified by N-Level in the summer of 2017. Given the unanimous panning it received by the community, I wonder if Instinct will ever be planned or built. Given the breaking of the nationality ranks for Mystic on top of the backlash, I doubt it will be. Yatagasu and Ouroboros are legendary beasts. Many already know this one, but it was a great one to end on. Yatagarasu is one of the biggest levels of all time, verified by Truster back in January 2017. The level's name and theme was inspired by the song Flawless Wings of Yatagarasu by GLS. Wherever you look, you can't escape this being, the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu is an East Asian mythological crow with 3 legs. It is also known as a caiman in Japan. It features a lot of art and fiction across East Asia and it is said to inhabit and represent the sun. This sunbird, as it is also known, has been found represented in civilizations as early as 5000 BC. The GD description of Yetagarasu suggests that it is a godlike being, and this may be true across some cultures given its ties to the sun. Because of the effect Yetagarasu's imagery had on the level's overall theme and its own imagery, when Viperin and the gang set out to make their next extreme hell demon, they looked for another mythical creature to base it off of. What they decided on was the Ouroboros, a worm-like dragon serpent type creature which is depicted to eat its own tail. As opposed to East Asian tradition, the Ouroboros first originated in ancient Egypt and found its way into Greek magical tradition and entered Western societies via this route. The Ouroboros is said to be symbolic. The dragon eats its tail in an endless cycle of sustenance, reproduction and consumption, so to depict the cycle of nature's endless creation and destruction, balancing life and death in perfect harmony. Slightly more upbeat than Yetagarasu, an Ouroboros is the theme creature for Viperin, Nobbleboy, Rustam and many other creators' HugeNet's level project, Ouroboros, which began life as an intended sequel to Yetagarasu but will now be a standalone level that will be harder and will be verified by Truster. So that's it from me, and I hope you did enjoy the video. Would you like me to make another one of these? What did you think of some of the root context behind the levels? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. I thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please smash that like button, and if you're new around here, please consider subscribing. We're trying to go for 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're on track to do so. So if you're new around here, subscribe to join GD's smartest family. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you all soon.